My name is Duddits, I do builds and stuff. Today I've got the ultimate Orpheus rig build. This build is going to be based around Tether, but on top of that it's going to be absolutely insane for damage. We're going to create an absolute crap ton of orbs for your teammates, as well as just slowing the play down, giving your teammates a constant 30% debuff on enemies with Tether, creating an absolute crap ton of orbs with things like attrition orbs. We're also going to be featuring a couple of fragments on Prismatic that I don't see used very much. Facet of Generosity, just to create an endless amount of orbs. Pair that up with your Orpheus rigs and some attrition orb weapons, and you're just creating orbs for your teammates. It's absolutely gross, so good, and it's perfect for people running roaming super builds, and it makes Onslaught an absolute joke. Stay with me, I'll break it all down. So we're going to start off with attrition orbs, just to start the video off with. Attrition orbs, it just prints orbs left, right and centre, especially on the velocity baton. This is an area denial frame, and it's just crazy. There is plenty of other attrition orb weapons in the game, loads that fit this build, but we're just going to be focusing on this one. And as you can see here, it is a literal orb printer. You're printing orbs left, right and centre. So that's sort of the main focus of the build, really, just creating orbs. That's one of the biggest focuses of this build, and with velocity baton you can just do that infinitely. Add in microcosm. This is a bit of a weird way to go with this video, but microcosm fits this build perfectly. It's got the paracausal imbuement on there. Final blows with this weapon, grant you super energy. Pair that up with your attrition orbs yourself, you're going to get loads and loads of super just for yourself. And then you're also going to get bonus damage once your super expires. It's a 20% damage increase whenever you use your super. And between that and your attrition orbs and getting that extra prismatic super energy and your normal super energy with a microcosm, you've got a super up all of the time. It's absolutely crazy. And you're building your transcendent energy as well. Now, add in something like Sacred Providence, for example, with kinetic tremors. Like I said, this is just an example. Adding kinetic tremors weapons into that as well was just going to help you get loads of super energy back and prismatic energy. Kinetic tremors is a really top tier pick for this build because, like I said, it builds you super energy and gives you loads and loads of prismatic energy as well. Pair that up with your microcosm and you're good to go. Now, the microcosm fits this build perfectly because whenever you use your super, you're going to get a 20% damage increase, and because we're running Tether, you actually get a 50%, a 30% debuff, and 20% extra damage from the paracausal imbuement. It's absolutely gross. Add in powerful attraction, so you're not having to run around and collect orbs left, right, and centre. You can dodge, so it automatically collects nearby orbs of power whenever you use your class ability. Bang two of them on. You use your velocity baton or another attrition orbs weapon to print orbs. Then all you got to do a dodge, and all them orbs are just going to come to you. Now we'll focus on the Orpheus rigs. This provides ability energy for each target tethered by deadfall anchors. It also improves Mobius quiver with an additional shot, but we're on Prismatic, we've only got the tether option right now. This tether, we all know what this does. This tethers multiple groups of enemies, it fires anchors, and this literally does what it says. It tethers enemy, it supplies a 30% debuff for you and your teammates, and it actually just stops things dead in the track. And on top of that, it just creates orbs and more orbs. Now, the thing why I like microcosm so much with this build is because you're firing your tether off so often with Orpheus rigs, you get loads and loads of super energy back with the Orpheus rigs, and that literally gives you an infinite supply of that paracausal imbuement with your microcosm, so you can literally just keep spamming your microcosm. Any little enemies, any yellow bars, and they're just going to go down really quickly. Now, Facet of Grace is an excellent fragment to run with this build because it says defeated targets with kinetic weapons grants you bonus transcendent energy. Now, your microcosm's kinetic, your Sacred Providence is kinetic. Facet of Generosity is a very underrated fragment. Defeating targets while transcendent creates orbs of power for your allies. So pair that up with your Orpheus rigs and pop your prismatic super, get a few kills, whether it's from your grenade, your attrition orbs weapons, your microcosm, anything, and you're just going to create orbs like that. Look at the state of that. Like, 7-8 orbs in about 3 seconds just by popping that one fragment. It's really, really strong. And not to mention, you've got all your Orpheus rig as well in the background if you needed, so you can do one or the other. And of course, don't forget, you can actually pop both at the same time. Pop your Prismatic, pop your Tether, and you are an orb printer for you and your teammates. It's an absolute joke. And you've got that paracausal imbuement from your microcosm to absolutely shred tanky enemies like demolitionists, or even like strong yellow bars that spawn up in here. Once you've got your super popped, your Orpheus rigs, loads of super energy back, loads and loads of extra damage on your microcosm, and you're creating orbs left, right and centre for your teammate. Again, your attrition orbs. You've also got all sorts of stuff this season, like weakening from grenade launchers as well. So it's an all-round ultimate Prismatic Orpheus rig Tether build. It is so strong. Now, roaming super's got a buff as well. I know Tether is not a roaming super, but if you've got a couple of teammates running roaming supers, it's literal joke. You're going to give them even more super energy as well. You've got other options on this build as well. Don't forget, you can run things like Outbreak if you needed to. Outbreak's really good, but Microcosm, in my opinion, is too strong, giving your teammates literal infinite supers and infinite orbs. Now, I'll quickly go over my aspects. Stylish Executioner, to me, is just too good not to run on this build because you're going to be weakening and debuffing everything. So you're going to be invisible, which is excellent for survivability. Also running Winter's Shroud, dodging slows nearby targets, and then slowing targets briefly increases your class ability energy. So you're going to get loads of class ability energy as well. Now, Dustfield Grenade is an absolutely top tier pick. That works with your Winter's Shroud. Then you've also got your Snare Bomb to add weakening. And between the Snare Bomb and your Dustfield Grenade, these are just things that just stop enemies dead in the track. Your Dustfield Grenade, free weakening grenade, get your Tether down, and your Dustfield Grenade and your Snare Bomb working together, it will literally stop a spawn on its own anyway if you play it right. Really, really good. And then you've got that debuffing from both of them. That's just going to keep you infinitely invisible. And it's a really, really strong build for survivability as well. Now, I did mention this earlier on, but don't forget the paracausal imbuement from the microcosm is 20% damage increase. But once you've got that tether, anything that's tethered is going to be 30% debuffed. So you actually get a 50% damage increase. And when you get enemies spawning like demolitionists, subjudicators, things like that, it just absolutely rinses them. It goes through these enemies like a hot knife through a pack of butter. It just absolutely smashes them to bits. And this is just waves, don't forget. I've got some clips to show of it working on boss DPS situations as well. It is such a strong build. And again, I've probably said it once or twice before, all these yellow bars, once you've got your paracausal imbuement up, it is an absolute joke. And like I said, you've got that going all of the time with your Orpheus rigs. Now, what I'm going to do in the next clip is just go over the rest of my fragments. Facet of Generosity, defeating targets while Transcendent creates orbs of power for your allies. We've already touched on that one. Facet of Grace, we've already touched on this one as well. Between your kinetic weapon and your microcosm, that gives you loads. And then Facet of Hope, while you have an elemental buff, your class ability regenerates more quickly. Facet of Solitude, this is a really good one as well because we're going to be landing rapid precision hits. You're also going to sever the targets for your teammates as well and yourself. 40% outgoing damage nerf to the enemy. Facet of Protection, while you're surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. This just adds to your survivability. Obviously, I've showed you a lot of clips of it working on waves, like tanky waves, but it's actually really good for boss DPS situations as well. Tether is always very, very solid for you and your teammates. Just giving your teammates that 30% debuff on their supers, other strong weapons in the game, just works perfectly. Now, I'm going to go over some little mods and seasonal artifact perks that I like to run. Special Finisher, I mean, what more could you do for your teammates? Give them loads of orbs, give them the old reach around, get your Special Finisher on there as well. Even more bonuses for your teammates. Total Carnage, after finishing a powerful combatant, gain temporary damage resistance. That goes up the more Shade Stalker armor you've got on. We've also got things like Debilitating Wave, finishes emit a wave. If you're running like a Void one, you're going to apply Weakening if you boost that version. You've also got other little cheeky little ones like Concussive Reload, which we touched on, Weakening from your Attrition Orbs Grenade Launcher. It's got everything in this build. It is so strong. And this one is quite good as well. The thick of it, rapid final blows while surrounded, grant you an armor charge, so you've always got loads of orbs for your special finisher. And then the very last one that fits nicely with this one at the moment is the curative orbs. You're going to create even more orbs if you destroy shielded enemies' shields, and then picking up the orb will give you a small amount of health, and it fits just perfectly. Now, that pretty much wraps up the video. It's got everything, this Prismatic Orpheus rig build. Loads of orbs, loads of damage for yourself, loads of survivability, loads of damage for your teammates, and you just supply your teammates with loads and loads of super energy as well, obviously with all the orbs you're creating. Now, the other thing I want to mention is I did a Phoenix Protocol Warlock build yesterday, the Ignition Well one, where you get loads of super energy with that. Now, if you've got a teammate or a couple of teammates, one of you could run the Orpheus rig build, one of you could run this Phoenix Protocol build that I did yesterday. I will link that, and it literally makes anything in the game an absolute jerk. So easy, and it's extremely fun to run both builds, whichever way you want to play them. I'll leave a link to that video. Let me know what you think of this one. I hope you found it helpful. Have a great day.